Before I even knew how to move a cube in Blender, I already purchased my add-ons. And I'm serious. I started Blender 2.8 in June 2019, and I actually purchased HardOps, BoxCutter, MachineTools, MeshMachine. Well, MachineTools was free back then. And I think KeyTops back in 2018, 8 of 2018. So about 6 months before I actually even started learning Blender properly in June 2019. And I remember I was binge watching videos from Master Xeon, the creator of HardOps and BoxCutter, because I was mesmerized by the workflow, by the sheer power of these add-ons. And before I touched Blender, I watched probably tens, if not hundreds of videos. And I was learning everything at once. I was learning, the vanilla tools and the add-on workflow. It was quite overwhelming, especially that we had no courses. There was no Blender Bros back then. Now we are the biggest player in the hard surface niche, especially in the add-on niche. We created about 40, if not more, courses in a span of 6 years, and we're easily the dominant force in the space. But the reason why we do this is because we simply believe in add-on workflow, and we think that this is the only logical way to work with Blender. It's like playing Skyrim or Fallout 4 or XCOM 2, whatever, without add-ons. Why the fuck would you do that, right? It's just stupid. So the same thing here. If you have a specific goal in Blender, I don't care what it is, you should be using add-ons, right? And, people will say, oh, HardOps and BoxCutter, for example, are just for the Boolean workflow. You can't, for example, run them for sub-D workflow, which is complete nonsense. The course we released, for example, the subdivision course, I actually created a very specific workflow there, which is centered around add-ons. It's HardOps, BoxCutter, mainly HardOps, MeshMachine, MachineTools, and also other add-ons that play very well with sub-D workflow. You see, when you are going to introduce add-ons to your workflow, you're going to work much faster. It's going to be much more efficient. In addition, you can kind of let add-ons do the heavy lifting, and you can focus on the artistic side of things, okay? So they are very artist-friendly because you don't have to engage your left brain that much and go through all these mundane tools and menus and shit. I'll show you an example, right? If you want to add a bevel in Blender, just a regular bevel, okay? Then you need to go here to the wrench, to the modifiers. You have to go here to generate, add the bevel, then you need to increase segments to 3. You need to drop this down because it's too big. You need to right click and shade auto smooth. You need to go here and then another modifier, which is gonna be flexing all this shading nonsense that's happening here. So go to normals and weight the normals. You need to unpin this, move it up, go back to your bevel and actually change this might here to arc. So when you're gonna create a cut in the mesh, the bevel is gonna corner nicely, okay? That's how many steps you need to perform on any model that you want to run bevel on. And another problem with this one is that if you're going to introduce a cut, like a boolean, another modifier, you have to manage your modifier stack. It's really annoying. Now with HardOps and BoxCutter, this stuff is really easy because all you do is, Q, bevel, done, Q, Alt, click on sharp, I'm done. 2 seconds, 3 clicks, okay? And that's just the beginning. If you want to, for example, mirror something in Blender, you need PhD in fucking chaos mathematics, do you know what I mean? It's so complicated and confusing. Because when I cut this with BoxCutter and I want to mirror something in Blender, right? So let's go here to generate and mirror. You see, nothing happens. But actually something happens behind the scene because I'm mirroring here on x-axis. And so what I would need to do here is I want you to turn this off and actually go with the y-axis and flip it or bisect it. It's so confusing, right? You don't even know what this shit does and why it's happening. So when you're using HardOps mirror, for example, you just click on the mesh, Alt X, and you mirror. You mirror from the side you want to mirror to the side you want to mirror to is logical. It actually highlights, the axes. So it's really helpful, especially when you're in the local axis, right? And it's so easy to understand. So when you're working and you're busy thinking, oh, is this shape working for me? Do I want to move this one, cut this one? You have to think, shit, which axis I'm on right now? And you switch to the left side of your brain. You go, okay, now I have to be logical. It's like teaching the noobs sub-D modeling from scratch. The reason why we don't teach sub-D in our courses for beginners like Accelerator or Jumpstart, and by the way, if you're a beginner, grab the Jumpstart course. It's fantastic. It's only $5 and it's going to teach you all the necessary things, tools, etc. to get your feet wet in Blender and understand how it all works. And this course uses no add-ons at all, just extensions from Blender, because we want you to understand the tools. It's a very basic course and it's going to teach you all that. So, link in the video description, grab it and enjoy. But going back to what I said is that, some folks say, oh, you need to teach sub-D because it's really important. It's an important tool, but it's not important for learning Blender, okay? You want to learn the tools, you want to understand how it works, you want to understand how, how to create better shapes in Blender, you want to have fun. If you don't have fun, you're just going to get bored and quit, especially when you're frustrated, right? It's good to have a challenging game, but imagine a game that actually breaks and there is a bug in the main quest and you can't progress. How pissed would you be? You would refund the damn thing, wouldn't you? Right? So that's what happens to people when they start with, with all these things, including sub-D. So there needs to be a progression when you learn, and the same thing with learning the tools. So for example, our course for HardOps and BoxCutter 2.0, which is a 5th edition of this course, it's the biggest and the most detailed and the best source of knowledge for these add-ons on the market. Even documentation isn't as good because it's outdated and it's documentation. So, you need to crack a lot of things on yourself. But the beauty of this course is that it simply shows you all the tools and how they work. So you can think, okay, I could use this one for my workflow. I could use this one for my workflow. Because, I'm not using all the tools when I'm working with HardOps and BoxCutter. It's impossible. It's just too many. The course is 22 hours long. So imagine how many fucking tools are included. If you look at the BoxCutter settings, the advanced one, I mean, you're going to have a dizzy head. Do you know what I mean? Look at this nonsense, right? The same with HardOps. There's a lot of settings, right? If you go to HardOps, there's a lot of menus and queue menus and all that. It's just too much. But this course is structured so cleverly that it gives you the very basic, my basic workflow, my basic tools, and then shows you other stuff. You're like, oh shit, I could use this for my workflow. This could be very useful. This could be very cool. Because it's very personal, right? You're going to be using the basic tools like, how many modifiers you, for example, going to be using? 6. That's all I use for hard surface modeling. How many modifiers do we have? A shit ton. Look how many modifiers Blender has. I mean, it's a ton. I don't know, 40, 100, I don't know, a lot. But you're not going to be using all of them. You're going to be using, 5, 6 maybe. So you're going to be using bevel, solidify, mirror. You're going to be using weighted normal, array, maybe sub-D, right? And that's about it. And auto smooth right now, which is smooth by angle, so 7, right? 7 modifiers. That's it. That's like 95% of work done. So you're going to be booleaning, you're going to be mirroring, you're going to be solidifying, you're going to be, just like in HardOps. Look, when I'm working with HardOps and BoxCutter, let's the cube, right? And I'm going to be, I don't know, let's say chamfer this one, and then I'm going to run a, boolean on this, I'm going to run a bevel on this, right? Then I'm going to run weighted normals, then I'm going to run a mirror, okay? And maybe I'm going to run a solidification, so I'm going to, I'm going to apply this. Let's say I'm going to apply this, grab this, this part here, and I'm going to go to Q and Shift Curve Extract to solidify it, and then go with booleans. And that's the bread and butter of working with these add-ons. It's not complicated. It's really easy. Now, when you go to menus like this menu, for example, you will see a shit ton of options in BoxCutter because you got endguns, custom cutters, draw lines, all this nonsense, right? Cyclic booleans, all that. And you can get very, very, very detailed, and you can go really deep into the rabbit hole. But initially, you don't need that. The same with, for example, MachineTools. I mean, MachineTools, I got 2 1-hour each videos on MachineTools, and they're not even covering everything because we have some more additional tools being created recently. But if you go to the menu here, and you look at the MachineTools menu, so let's go to MachineTools, right? And we're gonna open the menu for MachineTools. That's a lot of options, right? That's a lot of options. I'm not using them. Look what I'm using. That's all I'm using, right? That's all I'm using. I'm not using any of this nonsense. You could, but you don't have to. So the point is to create your own workflow and use the tools that you're actually gonna be, using all the times. The same with MeshMachine. I mean, MeshMachine is absolutely brilliant for example, removing bevels, right? If you have a bevel here, let's say you have this bevel here running on the mesh like this, and you have another bevel running here, right? And you say, well, I don't think I need this bevel. Well, good luck removing this in vanilla Blender. It's gonna be an absolute pain. But in, you know, using MeshMachine, you go to Y menu, right? And you simply unbevel, and you're done. And you then choose, you know, you're selecting these. You go to Y menu, you unbevel, you're done. So it's a one option, one function, but this is gonna be worth a lot of time saved. Otherwise, on needing to repeat all these operations, etc. Right? Stuff like power save, you know, it's gonna be automatically saving your files incrementally every minute. So when your Blender crashes, which can happen and happens, you don't lose any work. You lose 60, 50, 40 seconds of your work. That's nothing. Okay, so you're relaxed. You don't have to think about it. Oh shit, I have to save, right? So all these things play together. And then Material Works, I mean, you know, our add-on, which is genius. You don't have to go to nodes anymore. You don't have to find mats online. You don't have to play with and recreate details, you know, all the time, because it's all plug and play. So what you need to do is just go here, enable the add-on, and, you know, enable HDRI, so you don't have to worry about lighting. Then you simply select your mesh and choose a mat. Let's say we're gonna put some metal on it. Let's go with the metal, and you're done. And if you want some details on it, no problem. You just go to D with decals. So let's just disable BoxCutter. Go to D. You have 860 decals and 20 trim sheets, which is over 1,000 details on your mesh. And you, I don't know, you wanna add a vent, no problem. Add a vent. You can just, you know, pop it in here. Then you can, you know, shrink wrap it. If you wanna add it here on this edge, you can do it as well. Shrink wrap it here. Boom, you're done, and you got your detail, and you don't have to worry about it. And if you change your mat, you know, the detail will follow. So if I switch it to this mat, right, the detail is gonna update, and you're gonna have a, you know, updated color on your detail. So it's really easy and fun to work like this. And once you kind of determine, you know, your personal workflow and you flesh out all the tools that you want to work with, then you're gonna be flying like, you know, like a plane, okay, like a fighter jet, you know, just enjoying your modeling, because that's what it is about. And the more fluid and the less friction is in your workflow in terms of doing all these mundane tasks, the more fun you're gonna have. Like for instance, right, if I have a cube here and I'm gonna rotate it and move it somewhere here, and then I'm gonna have, let's say, you know, a cylinder, and I wanna align these two meshes together. All I need to do with machine tools is select this one and simply Alt A, and it's gonna align. So I don't have to go to, you know, to this cube and Shift S and, you know, move the cursor and then move this one to cursor. It's just too much work. All I do is select these two, Alt 8, I'm done, right? If I, for example, want to symmetrize stuff in edit mode, there is no more powerful tool than symmetry in MeshMachine, which is just insane because it's so powerful and so quick. So if I, for example, something like this, and I'm going to apply this, right? And I want to symmetrize it to the other side, all I do is press Alt X and I'm done. Alt X and I'm done. Alt X and I'm done. Do you see what I mean? So, you know, in vanilla Blender, you would need to add a mirror, change it to symmetry, or go to edit mode, go here to mesh, and then symmetrize, and then you would need to choose from which axis to which axis, and you have to think which one is fucking minus Y, which one is... This is exactly like having sex, okay? And trying to solve a puzzle. It's not gonna work, right? It's just one or the other. You can't do both. So you get interrupted. You see, your artistic flow gets interrupted, and you just throw into this nerd bullshit. You just think, which one is fucking minus? I don't fucking know. I don't want to know. I don't care. I just wanna go, right? That's the issue, okay? With working, you know, when you work without add-ons. So you should really strongly consider, you know, grabbing them. So again, I'm using HardOps, BoxCutter, MeshMachine, MachineTools, PowerSave, and Material Works, and occasionally I'm using Keyblerator and Keytops. And then I'm using extension, and also sometimes, very rarely, I'm gonna dive into Enflow. It's not, in my opinion, that useful, but you know, you could try it if you want. It's actually really good for retopologizing. So if you're retopologizing something, that's what you should be using. It's actually pretty decent for that. So, you know, look into this. Then you also have stuff like Retopoflow for retopologizing. So, these are specific add-ons for specific tasks. There are, for example, add-ons really good for sub-D modeling, like reprimitive, which is going to allow you to adjust number of segments on, for example, cylinder after you move it. Because you see there is a menu here after you drop a model in, the primitive in your Blender scene, where you can adjust the number of segments. But the moment you move it, right, you lose this menu. You can't fix the number of segments anymore. It's not that easy to do. But the reprimitive add-on allows you to do it. So someone created an add-on that solves the problem. So that's what I use in a sub-D course, because it's fantastic. Because you can, doesn't matter what you do with your mesh, you can readjust the number of segments on your mesh, right? Or for example, stuff like a really simple one. Let's say you get a cylinder and you want to create a cut in the middle, or in a specific area, let's say center on a vert here, right? This will be difficult to do with vanilla Blender, because you will need to move a cursor here, then add another object. It's a lot of work. But for example, with BoxCutter, what you can do is enable the dots here, and when you run a cutter, you see when you hold Control, you can align to anything, right? To edges, to middle of faces, to the middle of this shape. So if I'm going to run a cylindrical shape here or cut, and I want to, for example, align it here, I can, right? And run a cut here like this. And then what I can do is I can array this very easily, because my cursor is in the middle, by simply going to Q menu and control clicking on radial array, and I'm going to have a radial array around my mesh, perfectly aligned with the middle of these faces. In vanilla Blender this will be a bit more complicated. Now they added a different array, so it's a bit easier. They actually worked on that, but this is just one example, okay? So it's so simple and easy and just intuitive to work this way. So again, to sum it up, think what you need for your workflow, get the add-ons you need, and work with them. You're gonna save a lot of time, and time is money, okay? You cannot gain more time. So if you're losing time on doing bullshit tasks, spend the 20, 30, 40, 50 bucks on an add-on and enjoy your life, okay? You're gonna get way more powerful, way more efficient, and you're gonna have way more fun, right? You're gonna get more done in shorter amount of time. We estimate you can save up to 800% of time working with add-ons, right? And we've been doing this professionally for 6 years, right? And build a whole business around them. So, this is a serious tool, and you should be using them. Now, if you're new to Blender and you're just starting, then grab our Jumpstart course. Like I said, it's add-on free, because we want you to focus on learning the very basics of Blender and understand how the mechanics work inside of Blender for hard surface. It's a fantastic course. We have over 100,000 students in the course. This is the most popular course for hard surface modeling in Blender by far. And if you're more serious about learning, then look into our academy options, into Hard Surface Academy. It's a really amazing curriculum, all of our courses and content, plus you can choose the option with private coaching for 6 months, which is amazing. We have quite a few people over there and they love it. So go ahead and check it out. Check out the testimonials. We have tons of testimonials, over 1,000 testimonials on our page, all screenshots, so you can check what people think about our content and how helpful it was. We help people get jobs, careers, build studios, you name it, we've helped them, okay? So anyway, all the links are in the video description. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.